What separates a $30,000 a month service business homepage from one that barely gets even one contact form submission? After rebuilding homepages for everyone from therapists to locksmiths, I kept seeing the same pattern. It wasn't about fancy design or better branding. It was about putting 10 specific elements in a very specific order. Think of it like a combination lock. When you get the sequence right, everything just clicks. And right now, I'm just handing you the combination. So let's take a look at the homepage blueprint that gets everything right, and we're gonna start right at the top. So the first thing you need is this top section. We call this the hero section. It's just at the top of any website you see on the homepage. And this is a very important section. It has a lot of heavy lifting to do. We need to communicate some really key things here, because if you don't say the right things here, no one's ever going to scroll down any further. So we need to impart a few things here. First of all, what do you do? Secondly, why does that matter? And thirdly, how do they get it? So what I like to do is use the headline right here to talk about the specific result that you get for your clients. What are they gonna ultimately end up getting when they work with you? That's the promise that you wanna put right up here. But you're not done yet, because just because you've given them that result, that outcome, they still need to know, where exactly do you fit into the picture, right? In other words, what do you do to get them that result? So I like to use the subheadline right here to give the context. So if the headline talks about how you will change every facet of their life for the better, the subheadline needs to talk about how you do that. Are you a life coach? Are you a doctor? Are you a therapist? Because even if you get this part right, if this is still lacking, then people aren't gonna know what you do. They're gonna tune out and they're not gonna go any further. So it's really important to have all of that. Next, you need to address how they can get started with you right now. And that is what our call to action button's for. Now, what you don't wanna do is call this something like contact us, because that's weak. It doesn't really say exactly what's coming next. That's why you want something more like the way I have it here, schedule your consultation. It actually says what's coming next. People need that kind of hand-holding before they're gonna feel comfortable doing anything. So that's the basics of a hero section, but there are a few more things we can add that's gonna help amp it up and get people even more interested. So the first thing is this bit right here. It's what we call social proof. So anything you can do right up at the top of the website above the fold that can talk about results you've gotten for people, or just 5-star emojis, testimonials, anything like that goes a long way. So, each of these would ideally be a picture of a customer, and then this says, over 500 happy clients and counting. That could also be a little mini quote from somebody. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but it does really help to have some kind of social proof right up there. The other thing you can do that kind of will take this a bit above and beyond is by adding these guys right here. Basically, 3 little check marks of actual outcomes or results that people can expect when they work with you. These are not features, they're not really even benefits, they're like the actual outcomes. So if you can add those right up at the top here, you're gonna be golden. And of course, you've got this big photo right up here. Now, what you probably don't wanna do here is just have some kind of a skyline photo or a picture of you or of your team. What you want instead are real happy customer photos. And when I say real, I don't mean they have to actually be pictures of your customers. They need to be representations of your customers. So, if you're a financial planner, you wouldn't want to have a picture of yourself here, wearing your little tie. What you'd want to do instead is actually have a photo of someone meant to be your client who is just sitting there. Maybe they're sipping coffee on their nice porch and they're just feeling very serene. They don't have a financial care in the world. So you're using your visual to help reinforce the story that your headline and subheadline are telling. Okay, so that was a lot for the hero section. There's more to come though. So let's go down to the next section, which is the problem section. So this is where you lay out, just like it sounds, the problem they're currently facing. So when it comes to a really well done homepage, it needs to tell a bit of a story, kind of that hero's journey, where you, the business owner, are not the hero. Your client is the hero. So it needs to talk about what they're going through right now, maybe what they've already tried that didn't work, that kind of thing. And you really want to paint the picture here. I like to actually sometimes use bullets rather than just paragraphs of text. and you can say something like, does this sound familiar? And then you would put in, problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, or like symptoms of the problem that they can recognize. Then, and only then, after we've properly painted that picture, do we want to go down to the solution section. So this is generally where you will make your first appearance as not the hero of the story, but the mentor that helps guide your client to their ultimate success and their ultimate desire. So here's where you're going to talk about, what did you see in the marketplace that was broken, that really needed to be fixed? You're going to talk about your understanding of their problem, right? You're going to talk about how you understand what they're going through. Then you want to bring up your own authority. So you want to talk about why you're uniquely qualified to help them through it. Because if you just, say you understand them, but you're no more qualified than they are to help them through it, it's going to fall on deaf ears. And if you're all authority without the understanding part, then they're really going to have a hard time connecting with you. So you really need both. And you don't need a big section to do it. Like something like this is actually a good length for your solution section. And then of course we've got an image right here. This is where, ideally you would come in for the first time. We would want to see a photo of you or your team just so that we can see that you're an actual human being behind the business, because that's important to people. No one just wants to hire a nameless, faceless corporation. They want to work with someone who they feel gets them and ultimately feels like a real person to them. So that's why I like to actually bring in your own photo here, not up here, not in the hero section. Right here is the first time they would see you, okay? Moving along to our services section. Now, obviously, if you don't have multiple services, you can just get rid of this. But if you do, this is where you would want to really list out what they are. You don't need to put every single service you offer. If you have like 20, you'd probably want to pick out the 3 to 5 that make up the bulk of your business. I like the 80% rule. So whatever services make up 80% of your revenue, those are the ones that you want to concentrate here on. So, and then each one of these should ideally link out to the service page where they can learn more about that specific service, and you can talk more about it in a way that's specific to that service. Okay, moving along, now we have a really important one. This is the benefits section. Not to be confused with features. Features are things. Benefits are basically like actions or results that come out of that thing. I always like to tell the story of Steve Jobs with the iPod. So back when MP3 players were first coming out, everybody else before Apple was talking about them in a way of like 256 megabytes. They'd even talk about like the materials they were made out of and stuff like that. But then Steve Jobs came around and thought to himself, I don't think anyone really cares how many megabytes this is. Like maybe some people will. Most people care about what this is actually going to do for them. So what he came up with was, he said,
this amazing little device holds 1,000 songs, and it goes right in my pocket.
That is a benefit. The storage is the feature. What you're able to do with it is the benefit. So keep that in mind. You just want to list all 3 out here. And 3 is a good number, by the way. 3, our brains kind of work in 3s. And if you started adding too many here, it would dilute the impact of them. So 3 is good. I would do no less than 3, no more. And then you also want some kind of a visual to represent each one of them, just as a visual shorthand. So it can be icons like we have here. It could be photos. So then you just want to title each benefit. And then here, you want to give a short description of it. It should touch on the feature that makes that benefit possible. And then it should go even one step further and really say like, what's the deeper meaning of that? So if benefit 1 here were, carry 1,000 songs in your pocket, the description might say something like 1 gigabyte of storage gives you the freedom to listen to whatever song you want to. That's the real meaning. So never miss an opportunity to bring both the benefit, the feature, and the deeper meaning into this section. It's gonna hit a lot better. Okay, so next we have what we call the process section. So depending on what you do, even if you think it's very straightforward, people still have questions about, how is this all going to work? The best thing you can do is make it extremely easy for them to understand the process that it takes to not only get the ball rolling with you to work with you, but what happens after that, and then how does it all end up? And the way this works best is if you have 1, 2, 3 steps, no more. Because here's the thing, what you offer might take you 20 steps, right? But you don't want to list all the steps you take here. Having a simple 3-step process makes it feel like you have everything under control and they don't have to worry about all the little nitty-gritty details. So step 1 is always going to be very much in line with your call to action. So if that's scheduling a consultation, that's what you want to label this as. If it's booking a call, you would repeat that there. Then in the description, you're going to talk about, exactly what they need to do and what the benefit of that step also is. Then in step 2, this is where everything pretty much gets condensed down. This is like where all your steps become the simple step for them. So it's something along the lines of, this is where we do all the work, we talk with you, we figure out the plan, we implement that plan. So then step 3, it's kind of a cheat. It's not so much a step as what's that end story result that people can expect, where they just get to enjoy the benefits. Moving along, so now we have the testimonial section. So remember, we had a little bit of social proof up in the hero section, but now you need to expand on it. You need to actually show some stories of people who you've helped, because no one wants to go first, right? Everyone wants to think that you've helped other people before. That's what's going to give them the reassurance that you can do for them what you've done for others. So the way I have this here, feel free to riff on it, but I like to have some kind of a video testimonial here if possible, because here's the thing, video is very hard to fake, right? If someone is actually talking about their experience with you, their emotions come through, and unless they're like a Meryl Streep caliber actress, it's really hard to fake that. So that's why I think a video testimonial is really key. It just builds a lot of trust. And if you have that, you would still want to include some of the written words, like pull out the best pull quote from that video, so that if they're not going to watch the video, they at least get the gist of it right here. You always want to include a 5-star graphic with any testimonial, just so it visually looks like a 5-star review, testimonial, what have you. It's a little bit of a visual shorthand. So that's if you have a video, or even if this is just a photo, that's fine too. You would want one, kind of featured case study or testimonial. Then you can hit them up with 3 smaller ones. So this kind of length is great because it's really going to hit hard and just be punchy. And what you ideally want to do is like take the heading and whatever this review is about, let's say you save them 2 hours a week. The heading then should say save 2 hours a week, right? So if they don't read all of this, they'll still at least read the headline and they'll get the gist. So that's why you want to include that. And then here we have a photo. We want to always include a photo of the testimonial subject whenever you can, because if people can see that someone believes in their review enough to put their face behind it publicly rather than just anonymously, it tends to psychologically hit home a lot harder. So if you can possibly get those photos, use them. Next, we have the features section. So remember, we talked about the benefits before. Benefits are always better than features. They convey more, right, of a result, of an outcome. But at the end of the day, benefits are emotionally driven, which is good. 95% of people make their buying decisions based on emotion. But the thing is, once they get that emotional buy-in, a lot of them still need to do like their homework to check off the boxes to make sure that their emotions aren't wrong. In other words, I have this feeling, but now I need to do my homework to figure out and make sure this is a logical decision that I want to live with. So that's why the features section is important. It kind of checks off the right box in their brain at the right time, which is at the end when they're getting close to making that decision. So now they just want to be able to check all these things off in their brain. So you could do it this way and just include, the features you offer, right? 24-hour support, a dedicated point person, anything like that. But you can go a step further by comparing your features with your competitors. So if you have a better lineup of things that you offer that your competitors don't, or you do a better version of it, it makes a whole lot of sense to say, you get all these things with us, check, 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 but with them, you don't. And then you've got all these X's here, kind of just visually denoting that, what they get with you versus them. And by the way, it's okay if some of these things have check marks. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to say everything is terrible about your competition. Sometimes it'll look even better if it feels a little bit more kind of even-sided, but at the end of the day, you want your business to come out ahead. So if you're gonna do this, you need to have more check marks in your column than they do in theirs. Okay, next up we have FAQs. So by the time they're this far down the page, they're probably pretty invested, they're pretty bought in, but they might have some lingering doubts and just general questions that make them wonder if they're a good fit. So what I like to do here is I think 6 questions is about right on the money in terms of amount of them. You can have a dedicated FAQ page somewhere else with more, but I think 6 is good on the homepage. And what I would do, I would make some of these, maybe every other one, be less of a question and more of an objection that you're handling. So if you know that people are hesitant to hire you because of your pricing, maybe you're a higher price point than your competition. One of these questions could be, why can't I go with someone cheaper for this kind of work? And then you would just explain, well, you could go with someone cheaper, but here's what you're likely to not get, and here's what you will get with us. So you're basically taking that objection and you're rephrasing it as a question, and then you're using your best argument or rebuttal as the answer. So I like to do that right here. I think it's a smart, almost closer on your homepage. But we have one more section on the homepage, and that is your call to action. So basically, it's a Hail Mary at the very end. You're saying, hey, you've read all this stuff. Now how about it? Like, let's get down to business. So you're just gonna ask them a question. Are you ready to get started? This probably should have a question mark on it. And then you're just gonna hit them up again with your call to action button, same as you had up in the hero. But even knowing this, there's still a lot that can trip you up along the way, and that's why I just updated my super popular masterclass training, How to Build a Client-Generating Website That Sells Your Services For You. It's got you covered, showing you what other pages your site needs, which ones actually push clients away, and how to get it all built without a single line of code in just about an afternoon. So click right here, and I'm gonna save you a seat. This is gonna be far and away the best hour you'll spend on your business all year. So click here, and I'm gonna show you exactly what to do and how to do it.